and say hello to Laura Sanko. Hello, Laura. How are you?
Hi. I'm doing great. I'm doing so great. So great.
I feel like
Thank
you have
for
that.
having me on.
I feel like you have this smile like tattooed on your face. Like you can't even not smile if you tried.
It's 100% true. And it was obviously I was hearing what you were saying for a minute or two there before I came on air. And it's just so true. Like appreciating other people's success. And it was funny because watching you shine last week, or I guess earlier this week, I'm kind of losing sense of all space and time here. It was a busy day. I don't know, really put me in the space of like being grateful for what I had already accomplished. And yeah, I don't know what to say. I'm super happy. It's kind of one of those things that maybe people who aren't in the MMA world wouldn't think was necessarily a big deal, but it is to me, and I'm just thrilled.
Oh, and we are thrilled for you. And I think you saw some of the reaction online, like so many people genuinely happy who you've never met for your success and that you got the opportunity. And I'm sure that warmed your heart. And by the way, I want to note, like you just landed, so I'm not going to keep you very long, but I did think that this was a really cool thing to celebrate. So I appreciate you doing this. Could you tell us when you found out, because you've been pushing for this and you haven't been shy about it, respect to you. And sometimes that goes one way or the other. Like if you're open about something, some people get upset, but you weren't shy and I got respect for that. When did you find out that you were going to get this opportunity?
I found out at about 6:00 the night before the fights.
Oh my God. So like 24 hours.
Yeah. So I had actually already flown. I left Kansas City. I had packed, as I'm going there to do my normal duties, reporter, and in-ring announcer and all that. And I got a text from Dana while I was in the air, and he said, "Hey, are you in town yet?" I said, "No." He said, please come see me when you land." And those texts are so terrifying because you just don't, you just never know. You just never know. When the boss calls, it could be great. It can be bad. I mean, who knows? It could be anything between. So, I went and I went up to his office and, he said, "Hey, I just want you to know that, we've seen the work that you've been putting in. We know that you've been wanting this for the longest time. And I have been very vocal about it. I think sometimes that maybe got a little bit under certain people's skin, but it was something I kind of felt like I had to do when appropriate." And then he just said, "Yeah." He said, "So you want to call the fights tomorrow?" Wow. And I said, what I actually said was, "Fuck yes, I do." And he said, "Listen, I know this is super last minute. We can push it off to next week. I don't know if you're prepared for tomorrow." I said, No.
Good.
I got this. We're good.
Good on you for not saying push it off, because you got to take that opportunity. 80% of success is just showing up, in my opinion. And you showed up. Now, was there any talk of you maybe not doing all the other jobs as well? Because that's very unique. I mean, Jesus Christ, you're running all over the place there.
Yeah. So what a lot of people don't know about the Apex is, especially for Contender Series, obviously on fight nights, they are cage side at the Apex. But for Contender Series, because they want the Contender Series to have a different feel, a different look, different lighting, different logo, all that stuff. The commentators sit upstairs in the building, and it is it is an absolute maze of hallways to get anywhere in that building, the way it's built. And then you also have to go upstairs and go through another maze of hallways. So that was the immediate concern, was like, I have to, as soon as a fight ends, I have to figure out how to gracefully take my headset off, get out of this very cramped booth. Like Dan Helly had to physically stand up. They had to move some chairs around, and I had to run with a production assistant, through these hallways, down a flight of stairs, through a bunch of other hallways, through the doors, and then around the octagon. To get the scores, which is part of the reason there was a bit of a score snafu, because we had to add another layer of someone who could tabulate them for me and then hand them to me. And there was a bit of a miscommunication there in terms of how they needed to be written out. So regardless, I'm hoping that they're going to change where we sit, because I'm not going to lie. Like, I was running up, and then as soon as I was done, of course, I'd get off the octagon, go to the interview, and then run back upstairs and then run down.
Right.
It was so much. It was so much. I don't mind doing all three, but
I mean, it's just a lot of, it's a lot of mileage.
It's a lot.
Why don't you do the interview in the ring?
I think it's just another thing where they want Contender Series to kind of feel different. I guess there's a lot of the phrase that gets thrown around a lot is like they got to earn certain things. Like that they want the fighters. They don't want the fighters to feel, I guess, like, oh, you're in the UFC now. Like this is a great stepping stone. It's a potential launch pad if you show up and show out. But like the in-cage interview, the cage side commentators, I mean, they try very hard, deliberately to make it look and feel different, I guess is it.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you'll do the entire season?
That's the plan, yes.
Wow. And, you know,
every week.
Amazing. We are our worst critics, right? I mean, like it's tough sometimes. It's hard for me to watch shows or listen to shows of mine because I cringe at times. How do you feel you did? Are you happy with your performance?
I am happy with my performance. I think so many things that happened leading up to this really prepared me for it. First of all, I had to do an Invicta show last year on 6 hours notice, the morning of the fights.
Wow.
So, and that was 9 fights. So, and that was another opportunity where I really thought, man, I know the UFC is going to be watching this. If I go in there, I completely shit the bed. It could really hurt my chances to doing this for them. But I thought, no, I have to go for it. Like, I know I can do it. And I went out and I hit it out of the park. Later on, the LFA situation happened again, less than a day's notice. I didn't get to talk to any of the fighters. I wasn't part of Fight Week or participated in the fighter meetings. I was watching fights as I was driving to Wichita, which is not safe. I don't recommend doing. And so another last minute thing. So those things have really taught me a lot about myself and my ability to prepare on the fly. And just, man, I've been in the sport for 14 years, you know, like there are certain things about broadcasting that are still new and I'm still learning to some degree, but MMA, I know, you know, I never fought in the octagon, but I never really quit training either. So I've been doing every aspect of this sport for 14 years. You just haven't seen me competing. And I didn't quit MMA because I was bad at it either. I quit because there was at the time no future in it. And there still kind of isn't if you're an atom weight. That's a whole other discussion. But
right.
Yeah. So I just, at the end of the day, I was like, man, I know the sport. I can do this.
And for those that may not know about your backstory, yes, you didn't fight in the quote unquote octagon TM, but you did fight in Invicta. Like you have competed before, and that's why you.
Yeah, a lot of amateur fights too.
Yeah.
A lot of amateur fights that aren't on my Tapology either. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I'm not, I don't have a long and storied career to look back to, but the time spent in the gym, different gyms, you know, all the training partners in the world, and talking about this sport from day one too. My first time covering MMA was back in 2010 when I was an amateur. I talked, and I don't even remember the name of the blog, but I talked someone that was connected with Titan FC. And I said, hey, if you get me a ticket to Titan FC, which was always in Kansas City at the time, and let me sit cage side, I will type out blow by blow recaps of the fights for your blog. And they're like, oh, cool. So I didn't get paid or anything. But so, I mean, this was like something I've been wanting to do since I was an amateur way back in 2010, watching you, you know, on TV, watching you do your thing. And I just, at the time, of course, I had no concept of what it could turn into 11 years later.
Let me ask you this, because I would imagine there's someone at home who's just a fan and doesn't care about TV or broadcasting, thinking this. You're on the pay-per-views now, you're backstage, you're interviewing people. You are a part of the UFC TV family. You're doing the weigh-in shows. You're kicking DC's ass, which I appreciate and I commend you for and encourage you to do more. Why was being a color analyst for the fights such a big deal for you?
I think the best way to put it is that two things. First of all, I deeply, deeply love the sport of MMA. That is first and foremost. And from the moment I started training, like, and anybody that's trained or been a part of the sport, you don't have to have trained, honestly, or fought, but it grabs a hold of you in a crazy way. And so when fighting was no longer really an option for me after I had my son and there just wasn't enough of a future for me to spend that much time away from him, being involved in the sport became everything that I ever wanted to do. And in couple with that, you know, as I started to grow in these roles and really think about what do I actually want out of this, right? Because you can get in this rat race of just like more, better. But like, what am I really after here? What is going to make me happy? And I sat down and I thought long and hard about it. And what it kind of boiled down to for me was, I don't want to be, this is going to be a weird way to phrase it, but I don't want to be the pretty girl. I want to be the smart girl. I want to be a voice, a respected voice in this sport, in whatever shape that takes. And to me, the ultimate goal was to be able to be a voice alongside and contributing with these amazing other analysts that I've been watching for so many years. And it was never the idea of like, oh, I'm better than them, or I'm, you know, none of that, or I should take someone's place, or it's never been that attitude. It's like, I just love this sport so much. I have been in it so long. I've been all over to all of these different gyms. I've trained with so many different people, and I love telling the stories of fighters, and I love talking about the action as it happens. And if I can contribute to the conversation, just be a part of it, be alongside it, not taking anyone's place, just be there, then that's what I want to do. I want to be able to contribute.
Well, I would just add, you are a respected voice already, whether or not you got this opportunity or not. No one says anything bad about you. You're very professional. You're very respectful towards everyone. You are someone who has, you know, some people come in and they're like a tour de force and they're like Tasmanian devils and they rub people the wrong way. You are not that person. I think you treat bloggers and media and 10 and 10 fighters and champions all the same. And so I want to give you props for that, because not everyone does that. And I'm assuming that you want to keep, you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with this. You don't want to just be the Contender Series analyst, right? You want to be on the pay-per-views, right? So what is the ultimate goal? Is it you want to be on the pay-per-views? You know, like, is that what we're going for here? Is that what we're doing?
Listen, I'd be lying to you if I said it wasn't. I'd be lying to you if I said anything different than that. Of course it is. Of course it is. That being said, I am trying very hard, and I'm genuinely trying to soak in this moment and this accomplishment and what it meant to me, what it meant to other females who want to do similar things in this sport, whether it's commentating, reporting, whatever it is. And it's not, honestly, that was the other thing too. Like, it's not about, it was cool to have that little nugget of history. That was important to me, right? I think it's a very natural part of human nature to want to leave something behind in this world, whether it's your children or something that you made or something that you did, something that you accomplished. Like, legacy, I think, is what we're all after, especially in sports. To just have that little thing that no one can take away from you centuries from now, right? And so, like, that meant a lot to me. But yes, the answer is yes. I'm unfortunately a naturally very competitive person. I compete with myself first and foremost. And so if there are any rungs higher on the ladder, I'm going to want to climb them. I'm just going to want to. But for now, I'm thrilled and I'm happy to be calling fights in the Contender. But yes, I do hope there's even more in the future. And
it's a really huge deal. Again, for people that don't pay attention to this stuff, like, let me tell you, for fight sports, to have a female in there, it's a really, really huge deal. You have broken through that glass ceiling. And, you know, Doris Burke is revered in the world of basketball. She did the same. And you are on your way to being the Doris Burke of MMA. And I think that's the biggest compliment that I could pay someone in your shoes. Did anyone reach out to you? I'm sure a lot of people reached out to you, but was there one message, text, email, phone call that you got since yesterday that really meant a lot to you? And maybe there's too many. Yeah.
There are too many, but there actually is one person that I want to like call out in particular. I'm going to get choked up talking about it, but when I started at Invicta, I essentially took half of Julie Kedzie job away from her, right? Like, they called me to have me do the in-cage post-fight interviews, and basically said, Julie, you can still do the color commentary, but we want Laura to do everything that's on camera. And I was so excited, but I was like, I felt a little bit guilty and nervous that she would be angry about that, and I think at first maybe it was a little bit hard for her, but she has always been incredibly kind. And then I would say, like, once I started doing commentary with her, and even before that, honestly, even when I was just doing more reporting stuff for Invicta, like, she has been the loudest, most vocal public supporter ever. And she was the one person who really shouldn't have been, because I took part of her job away. And she has been banging this drum on Twitter for years and years and years. And it's because of people like her. Like, she did commentary way before I did commentary. It was just, she didn't get to do it under the Zuffa banner. There are lots of women that do commentary that have helped make this type of leaf for me possible. Lots of them. I'm not the first female color commentator. I'm just the first under the Zuffa banner. And props to Kathleen Long as well. Like, I kind of want to sit down and talk to her. I'm dying to know what that UFC 1 experience was like, because it couldn't have been easy. And then to not have her back, I'm kind of dying to know the behind the scenes story there. I want to call her up. But yeah, Julie Kedzie is one person in particular that I feel like I have to name. There are so many that I would like to name. That I would just take up your whole show and it would be fair. But I do want to give one more little shout out, and that is to you, because I know you're not going to say it, but I know that there were a couple of key times when you went out of your way to say something nice about me to the right people at the right time, even when they were having you leave. My understanding is on your way out, you said, all right, you should check into this Laura Sanko girl. She's pretty good. So, you're one of those people as well, and I appreciate it.
But I'm a nightmare behind the scenes, Laura. Didn't you hear Brendan Schaub? He said I'm the worst. I'm kidding. Thank you. That means a lot to me, Laura. That really does. I'm so happy for you. I can't tell you how happy I am for you. It was really a great thing. And I hope that you get more opportunities, not just on Contender. And I kind of I'm sorry to say, I hope you don't get mad at me for saying, I kind of think it's awesome that you're doing all three of those jobs, because it's not like, I'm not just going to break through this ceiling. I'm going to break through all this. I'm just going to do something that no one in TV does. And I'm going to do ring announcing, and then I'm going to go back here.
Well, let's be honest. Bruce's job is very safe.
Yes, but I think it's kind of cool that you dominate the entire Contender Series show for the most part, along with the other guys there. So get home to your family. Thank you so much for doing this on the side of the road, for goodness sake. I'm so happy you were able to call in for a few minutes. And again, congratulations. Enjoy this moment. Revel in it. Like, soak it all in, digest it, because we don't get these moments often in life where you get to actually say, I accomplished a goal. And then starting tomorrow, you go accomplish the next one. You go conquer the next one. And we all got your back.
Right. Thank you, Ariel. I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
All right. All the best. There she is, Laura Sanko, the newest color analyst for the UFC, has been a part of the broadcast team for quite some time. But as you can see, a tremendous human being with a great soul, a great heart, and no one deserves it more.